So let me ask you a question. Have you ever signed up for a free plus shipping book, or maybe you grabbed a book off the shelf at a bookstore and you read a few pages, maybe a couple of sentences, and you realized it just wasn't hitting the mark? Or worse, it was a complete piece of crap, right? We've all done that. There's books that are great, there's books that are not so great, and then there's books that it's like, why did I even bother wasting 2 minutes reading this thing? Unfortunately, with so much misinformation on how to write and publish a book, it's happening more and more often. So in today's video, I'm going to cover 3 things that a great business book does. It inspires, educates, and sells. I'm going to show you exactly how to do all 3 of those things. But before I dive into that, I want to make sure that you click the link below so that long after this video is done, you'll have the resources that you need so that you can write a truly impactful business book. Click the link below and we'll get started. All right, so if you've listened to any of my previous videos, you've probably heard the phrase inspire, educate, sell before. And you know that you have to inspire so that someone knows they can do something. And you have to educate so that they know how to do it. And you need to sell additional resources and support from your business so that they actually do it, because they're not going to necessarily do it just because they know how and just because they're inspired. But how do you do that? How do you inspire someone? That's a really intimidating thing if you think about it. Like, who do you think of who's inspiring? It's probably somebody that you kind of have on a little bit of a pedestal and you're like, oh, I want to be like that person. I want to be like Oprah, or I want to be like Obama, or whatever. You want to make sure that, yes, you are inspiring people, and those people are inspiring, but you can inspire others just as well. And there's a way that people inspire, and it's through stories. When you use a story in your book, or many, many stories in your books, you want to make sure that they're designed to take people on a journey. They're taking people through a transformation. And it's all about where they started, what happened in the middle, and where they ended. You can actually do that in a sentence. You can tell a story in a sentence, you can tell a story in a paragraph, you can tell a story throughout the course of an entire book. In nonfiction books, we tend to tell, especially nonfiction business books, we tend to tell shorter stories that prove a point and that inspire people to say, oh my gosh, this author was right where I am. That person needed to lose 100 pounds too, and that's where I am. And they were so afraid and they were so frustrated and they had tried everything they could think of to lose this weight. And then they found this particular amazing process that you're teaching in the book, and when they went through that process, they didn't quite believe it at first and they weren't sure, but then it started working and they saw the pounds melting off and they started seeing collarbones, and their heart got excited every time they saw their face in the mirror. And for the first time in their lives, they could see themselves reflected the way they really felt inside. And it was so wonderful. And by the time they had lost that 100 pounds, it seemed like no time had gone by at all. And it was wonderful. And they were so excited. And if they can do it, I can do it. That's inspiration, right? Getting someone to believe through your story or through the story of a client that they can do the thing. So a story is how you inspire people, and not just one story, all kinds of stories. Make sure when you're doing your stories, you probably heard this in grade school or whenever you learned how to write, like, hey, every story has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? So what does that mean? A beginning, a middle, and an end. That's so, like, it's so abstract. It just means, how did you feel before? What things were going on? What was your environment like before something happened? What happened to change you? And then how did you feel, and what were the circumstances after you made that change? I was broke, and then I sold my house for 10 times more than I thought I could because I did this magical marketing method. And then, oh my gosh, suddenly I wasn't broke anymore, and I was so excited because I could afford a better house. That's a story, and it's a transformational change. It's a before, a during, and an after. The way to make an inspiring story even more impactful is to use your 5 senses and to describe, how did you feel? What did you smell? What did you taste? What did you feel in the air? Was there energy crackling all around you? What was going on? Those are the details that are going to hook into people and get them inspired and get them excited, because you're raising their emotional state as you're raising your emotional state while you're writing the story. All right, enough on inspiration. I hope you're inspired that you can do this now. So let's talk about education. When you're educating somebody, The temptation is just to sort of say, well, this is how you do it. This, and this. And you just sort of tell them how to do something, whatever it is that you're trying to explain. And a lot of times that comes off as really flat and boring. And the reason is because every blog post they've ever read has said almost the exact same thing. So what you want to do is you want to take your information and put it into something called a framework. A framework is nothing more than a structure or a skeleton to hang your information on. And it also needs to be something that is completely relatable and that people will instantly understand. So a framework might be 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. That's a very famous framework. A number makes a great framework. People understand there's 7. When I get to 7, I'm done. When I get to 3, I'm not done, you know? So you understand how to count to 7. We get it. There's 7 habits. I'm going to learn all these things. And that's a great framework for understanding what it was that Stephen Covey at the time was trying to teach. So if you're teaching something, it doesn't have to be a step-by-step process. It might be a step-by-step process, but maybe it's 4 pillars. Architectural frameworks are fantastic ways as well. You can have, you know, the 4 pillars of higher education, or you could have well, what's another architectural structure? Maybe there's a dome, like a geodesic dome. That would be a really complicated framework. But a framework that can be almost anything that is easily visualized in the mind and that people understand. Some other frameworks that people don't necessarily think of are geographical frameworks. So let's say you're a restaurant and you want to write a cookbook about some of your amazing Northern Italian recipes, right? Well, your framework then is Northern Italy. These are recipes. We know what a recipe is, and they're only recipes from Northern Italy. So we understand in our brain what you're teaching us is not Chinese food, right? You're teaching Northern Italian cuisine, and maybe it's just Northern Italian cuisine from your particular restaurant that your chef has invented. So that's a framework. That's something that helps people wrap their brains around what it is that you're trying to educate them on. Another one might be a collection. So let's say that you're selling bicycles. How are you going to have a book that a bike shop could sell, right? Well, one of the things that you could do is maybe if you're selling bicycles in Vermont, maybe you have the top mountain biking trails in New England, or the best mountain biking trails all across America. So that would be a great book, right? If I'm an enthusiast about a biking enthusiast and I'm gonna go buy a bike from your shop in Vermont, and you happen to have a book out there that's talking about the best trails to go on in New England, that's fantastic. Of course I wanna buy that book that goes with the bicycle. Not only that, but it sets you as the author up. It raises your credibility so that you are the expert in biking trails in New England. Now, are all of those trails probably listed in a million other books? Possibly. Maybe, you know, the Department of Land Management has some amazing brochures with all of these trails listed on it. But you, as an author, are collating them. You're bringing them together in a framework of bike trails in New England, and that's educating people in a container. You're creating a container for that information. I hope that explains frameworks for you so that you understand what we're trying to do. You may have a process, you may have a system, you may have a collection, but you need to have some identifiable information or identifiable container or skeleton for people to understand how the information is being put together and how it's being presented. So what about sales? What about selling? This is a hot button because people say, oh, I don't want to sell in my book. I don't want my book to sell because it'll sound like a sales letter, or it'll sound scammy, or it'll sound like it'll lower my credibility because I don't want to sound like I'm selling. Here's the deal with that. If you're writing a book to support your business or to get speaking engagements or anything, you have to demonstrate your expertise. And when you're demonstrating expertise, part of that means that you're helping people. You're helping people actually achieve what they're setting out to do. Maybe they need to lose 100 pounds. Maybe they're sick and tired of really crappy bike trails and they just want to find the best ones, right? So your ideas of putting out, the ideas that you're putting into this book, you need to offer that additional resource and the additional support and the additional sales so that those people get the results that you're promising them. If you're inspiring someone to lose 100 pounds and you're giving them the course of action to take to do that, and you're not going to support them with other, maybe nutritional supplements, or maybe some exercise apparatus, or maybe, whatever it is that you happen to be selling, if you don't offer that to them, then they're not going to do it. The chances of them actually getting the result that you're promising them is pretty low. And that's kind of crappy, because they're investing a lot of time and energy to read a book. Possibly they're investing money to read the book, and then it just kind of lets them down. So you don't want to do that. You want to inspire, you want to educate, and you want to sell. How do you sell in a book so that you don't sound like you're pitching everything? You're pitching this here and pitching that there, and here's my course, and come, join my $50,000 mastermind or whatever. You want to make sure that you're being subtle about it, and that you're not overselling. So there's 3 ways that I like to do that in a book. The first way is through resources and resource pages that are something that you give away. They're extras, right? So these are extras that you can give away at the end of every chapter. There's something you can maybe have a resource page at the back of the book. But the whole idea is that you're taking people from the book to your website. You're offering them some additional resources that they can download, they can get access to by giving you their name and email address. It's a lead magnet. So one of the caveats that I have here, a lot of people like to say, oh, get my checklist, or oh, download this PDF of these steps that will help you as an additional support piece. Here's the deal with a PDF or anything that's written. People will go, why didn't they just put it in the book? Why do I have to give my name and email address to get a checklist? They should have put it in the book. Because it's a written resource. So what I tell people is the best resources that you can possibly use as a way to get people from the book to your website and onto your mailing list is an audio resource or a video resource. So maybe it's a video that they can download that demonstrates a body language or demonstrates some role playing that you're doing in a sales book. Maybe it's an audio series of interviews that you've done with experts, or interviews that you've done with your clients as case studies. There's all kinds of ways that you can include audio and video materials, but then it's obvious. Of course they couldn't put a video in a book because it's a book with pages and things, right? So of course I have to go, and of course they want to collect my email, and they're happy to sign up for that. And there's no subconscious objection to the fact that you could have included it in the book, but you chose not to. So make sure that when you do offer those resources, that if it's at all possible to include it in the book, include it in the book. If it's not, find a way for them to come out onto a resource page on your website and download audio and video materials. So that's the first way. The second way is to include a high value bonus. A high value bonus is something that could be a companion workbook, or it could be a quiz that people can take, or it could be an assessment, or it's any kind of an extra piece that you would normally charge quite a bit of money for. It could be a couple $100, it could be $20, it doesn't matter, as long as it's more than the cost of the book. So I have a story that I like to tell about this. There was a book that was out a long time ago called the Google Guide to, or the Ultimate Guide to Google AdWords. It's a great book. It's really thick, full of amazing, valuable information. But what really sold me and a lot of other people on buying that book was the fact that there was a little sticker on the front of the cover that said, get $50 worth of free Google AdWords credit when you buy this book. $50. I was like, oh my gosh, the book was only $25. It's like getting free money. Why wouldn't I buy this book, right? Now, Google gives $50 of free credit to anyone who signs up. Anybody. I mean, so it wasn't really like they were giving you extra money, but it was a bonus that they had created and they had fashioned in such a way that made the person reading the book feel like so excited, because they were going to be able to put the information in the book into action and actually use it to make money without having to risk their own money up front. So it's really cool. You can do a companion workbook that goes with your book that maybe you sell on your website for $27 and it's a $15 book. People feel like they're getting more than they pay for. And so high value bonuses are really fun. You can put an advertisement for that in the front of your book. You can put an advertisement for it in the back of your book. You can put advertisements for your other courses, your other books, anything else that you've done, your services. If you're a speaker, you can put an advertisement about your speaking in the back of the book. If you pick up any book on your bookshelf right now, if that publisher is worth their salt, there is some kind of advertisement at the back. Maybe it's an advertisement for other books in a series. Maybe it's an advertisement for the author. Maybe it's an advertisement for other books that that book publisher has. But they all use the back of the book to sell you on additional things. So don't feel like you can't do it just because it's your book. It's your book. Of course you can do that. And every publisher should encourage you to do that because you want to get as much value out of your effort and your time and your money that you're putting into creating this resource. You want to get all of that back in terms of sales and additional clients and customers. The third way is what I call seeding, and you're just dropping little seeds about the fact that you have services for clients or you have products available for purchase. Now, you don't have to be really overt about it. You don't have to say, hey, go buy this program and it will explain all the rest of this stuff that I decided not to tell you about. That just sounds crappy, right? You don't want to do that. But what you can do is say, here's an amazing case study of someone who lost 100 pounds on my custom program. If a custom program is something that you sell, it's clear subconsciously that that person, if they succeeded on a custom program, must have bought the custom program, right? One really amazing way to do it is to use case studies inside the text. Case studies not only prove that what you're saying is true, but it also lets people know that you take private clients or that you work with people one-on-one. So that's another really great way to do that. All right, so you're going to inspire with stories, you're going to educate with frameworks, and you're going to sell additional resources and support using an email call to action, using seeding, and using high-value bonuses. So that's how you do it. I can't wait to read your book. Once upon a time, just writing any old book was good enough. But these days, if your book doesn't inspire, educate, and sell, it's going to get lost in all the noise and the clutter online with the blog posts and the podcasts and all of the content that's just out there. And if that happens, nothing that you do matters. So there's 3 things that are key to writing a great business book that's profitable and expands your reach and increases your credibility. To better understand how to write a book that attracts your clients and customers, inspires, educates, and sells, click the link below and download that free resource.